Come on, New Covenant. Yeah.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time. Story time.
Sit back, relax, get your favorite snack. To hear Sturby told while the room is packed. A double-edged sword from the word of God. Straight from the Bible right to your heart. Tastes like milk, sometimes like honey. Come get fed without no money. Change your life, you'll be alright. Like stars shining bright in the darkest night.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time. Story time. It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time. Story time.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Mr. Storyteller.
We're just rehearsing for church.
Okay, we're done.
You guys look great.
Thank you, Mr. Storyteller.
Well, what time is it?
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time. Story time.
That's right.
Yay!
Got a great one for you today. The story of Joseph.
Joseph. Oh.
Episode 1.
Oh, it's an episodic.
Woohoo!
Let's begin. Now there once was a man named Jacob who had 12 sons.
12 boys?
Yeah, 12.
Bet you can't count to 12.
Yes, I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Na 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 na, told you. Quiet. I want to hear the story.
She's mad because she can't count to 12.
I guess no one wants to hear a story today.
Oh, please, Mr. Storyteller.
We're sorry. We really want to hear a story today. Please, pretty please. Quiet, everybody.
Shh. It's episodic.
Okay, let's try this again. There once was a man named Jacob who had 12 sons. One of his sons' name was Joseph. He was 17. One day he was hanging out with his brothers looking after the sheep when he ran home and tattletaled on them to their father. Joseph said, "Hey, Dad, Reuben was sleeping on a job and Levi spilled water when he was giving the sheep a drink." And Jacob laughed. That's okay. Joseph, you're just a kid. You see, Jacob loved Joseph more than his other sons.
He was his favorite, like me.
No, like me. I'm his favorite.
That's not fair. Quiet. We're all favorites. Right, Mr. Storyteller?
Yeah, you're all favorites. I love you, you, and you. But Joseph was the favorite for real because when he was born, Jacob was an old dude. I mean, he was an old man. And all the other brothers were married and doing their own thing. Jacob loved Joseph so much, he made this really cool coat for him, multicolored and everything. It had some blues, reds, yellow, green.
What about purple? That's my favorite.
Yeah, probably had some purple thrown in there.
Pink? Brown? Orange?
Gold?
Silver?
Bronze?
Yeah, all the colors of the rainbow.
Oh, goody!
But when his brothers saw Joseph prancing around in that coat, they didn't like it. Simeon said, "Hey, Asher, Dad never made us a coat of many colors." Then Gad said, "Judah, that's because he loves Joseph more than us."
It's okay. It's only a story.
But it's true.
Hey guys, there's going to be a happy ending. Stay with me.
Okay.
Okay.
So, the brothers didn't like Joseph anymore. They wouldn't even speak to him.
That's not nice.
You didn't speak to me today.
I didn't? Oh, sorry. Hello.
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 You done? Thank you. So, any old way, one day Joseph had a dream and he told his brothers, "Hey guys, listen to the dream I had." You guys were all in.
What? What? What was it?
We were all in the field one day gathering bundles of wheat, and all of a sudden, my bundle stood straight up, and your bundle circled around it and bowed down to mine.
Oh, that's nice.
Not to them, because this made his brothers really mad. Naphtali said, "So what are you saying, Joseph? You're going to rule over us, tell us what to do, be the boss of us?" Huh. They were now really done with Joseph. They didn't want to have anything to do with him. They didn't want to be in the field with him. They didn't even want to eat with him. They didn't want him around.
Oh, no.
But Joseph didn't care. Nah. 'Cause one day, he had another dream, and he told this one to his brothers too. "Hey fellas, guess what? I had another dream. The sun and the moon and 11 stars. They bowed down to me too." This made his brothers really jealous.
Guess what? I don't have a jealous bone in my body.
That's because you don't have a body.
I don't?
I know.
Oh, no, I don't have a body, and I never knew it.
It's okay. God loves you just the way you are. Remember, he made you.
Oh, thank you, God. I love you.
So it came to pass that one day his brothers went off to Shechem to feed their sheep, their father's sheep, that is.
Shechem? Where's Shechem?
One town over.
Oh, over there.
Yeah. And Jacob told Joseph, "I want you to go over to Shechem and see how your brothers and the sheep are doing." So Joseph went on his way. And as he was wandering through the fields, he met a man. The man said, "Hey, who are you looking for?" Joseph said, "I'm trying to find my brothers. Have you seen them?" The man said, "They left here, but I overheard them say, 'Let's go over to Dothan.'"
Dothan? Where's Dothan?
Another town over.
Oh,
Over there.
So Joseph took off and tracked his brothers down over in Dothan. They saw him in this distance. By the time he got to them, they had cooked up a scheme to take him out.
Kill him?
Yeah, that was the plan. They said, "Look, here comes that dreamer. Let's kill him and throw him in one of these pits, and we'll say a vicious animal ate him up."
Red Riding Hood all over again.
Sure, they said. "We'll just see what his dreams will amount to." But Reuben heard them and said, "No, we can't kill our own brother. Just throw him in a pit somewhere. Don't hurt him." You see, Reuben was planning on coming back later to get Joseph and take him back home to Jacob.
Such a good big brother.
So it came to pass that when Joseph got to his brothers, they snatched off his fancy coat and threw him into the pit and sat down to eat supper.
I don't think I could eat any supper after all of that.
Me either.
Now, while they were eating, they saw a caravan coming down the road. Judah said, "Hey guys, what are we going to get out of killing Joseph? Nothing. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." They said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." So they pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him to a caravan of merchants.
Their own brother? Oh, no!
Their own brother. So when Reuben went back to get Joseph,
Oh, he was gone.
sadly, he was. So he went back to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone. What are we going to do? What will we tell our fathers?" So they took Joseph's robe, dipped it in goat's blood, and took it to their father. "Dad, look what we found out in the field. Is this your son's robe?" Jacob looked at it. It was the robe he had made for Joseph.
The rainbow robe?
Pink, brown, orange, gold, silver, bronze.
And purple, my favorite?
Yeah, that one. Jacob said, "It's my son's robe. Looks like a ferocious animal devoured him. It's been torn into pieces." So poor Jacob cried his eyeballs out, and no one could comfort him.
So sad.
Poor Joseph, kidnapped.
We've got to pray for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put him on your prayers list, guys.
I hope he'll be all right.
We'll find out next week. Same story time, same story place.
Come on, New Covenant. Yeah.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time, story time.
Sit back, relax, get your favorite snack. To heal, stir it told while the room is packed. A double-edged sword from the word of God. Straight from the Bible right to your heart. Tastes like milk, sometimes like honey. Come get fed without no money. Change your life, you'll be alright. Like stars shining bright in the darkest night.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time, story time. It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time, story time.
On the previous episode of The Story of Joseph, Jacob makes his favorite son Joseph a beautiful coat of colors. When Joseph tells his brothers of his dream, of them and the stars and moon bowing before him, they become jealous. They sell him to a caravan of merchants and allow their father Jacob to believe a ferocious animal has devoured him.
Poor Joseph. I know.
But remember, we prayed for him.
So what happened, Mr. Storyteller?
Well, the caravan took Joseph off to Egypt.
Egypt? Oh no!
Where's Egypt?
A long, long way from here. I mean, there. Over 100 miles from Joseph's home.
Over 100 miles from home?
Yeah, but the story's not over. Calm down. They sold Joseph to this guy named Potiphar.
Oh, that's a nice name.
Was he a nice person?
Yeah, because he could see that the Lord was with Joseph. And because the Lord was with Joseph, Potiphar was starting to prosper.
What's prosper mean?
He was doing all right for himself, successful. And on top of that, he was an important person.
Famous?
in Egypt. He was the captain of Pharaoh's army, and Pharaoh was really famous. He was the supreme ruler of Egypt.
Like the president?
No, like the king.
Yeah, the king. So Joseph lived in the house of Potiphar, his new master. Potiphar liked Joseph a whole lot, so he made him his special attendant. He put Joseph in charge of his entire household and entrusted everything he owned to him.
Wow, I'm happy for Joseph.
Me too.
Me 3.
Me 4.
Okay, are you done? Now, the blessings of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in his house and in his field, because the Lord was looking out for Joseph.
Oh, so wonderful.
But it came to pass that one day, Potiphar's wife, Mrs. Potiphar, started to take notice of Joseph and how good looking he was. And Joseph told her, "Leave me alone. Your husband put me in charge of everything, and I don't want to mess that up and make him angry with me. And I don't want the Lord to be angry with me either." But she wouldn't stop pestering him until one day he went into the house to work, and she grabbed him by his coat and ran out of the house. She called the other servants. "Look, this Hebrew slave you brought us came in and tried to hurt me. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his coat and ran out of the house."
That's not true. It's not true.
I know, but that's not what she told them. And when her husband came home, she told him the same thing. He was so mad at Joseph that he put him in prison.
Jail? Oh no!
Locked up and threw away the key. Clink.
Clink,
Clink, clink.
You done?
clink.
Good. But guess what? The Lord was with Joseph even in jail. He gave Joseph favor with the prison warden. You know, the guy in charge. He liked Joseph a lot, so he put him in charge of all the prisoners. Everything Joseph did, the Lord gave him success.
Oh, so wonderful.
I'm so happy for Joseph.
Me too.
Me 3.
Great. We can agree. We're all happy for Joseph. Now, moving on. Sometime later, over in the palace, the king's cupbearer and his baker did something uncool. It made the king, Pharaoh, angry with them. So he threw them in prison. And guess what? It was the same jail Joseph was in.
It's that good?
I sure hope so.
Hold on, you'll see. So after a while, the cupbearer and the baker each had a dream on the same night, but each dream had a different meaning. When Joseph came in the next morning, he noticed they looked sad and depressed. "Why so gloom, fellas?" They told him, "We both had dreams, and there is no one here to tell us what they mean." So Joseph scratched his head and said, I was taught the meaning of dreams come from the Lord.
I had a dream once.
Save it for later.
How? I don't even remember it.
So, wonderful. Any old way, Joseph said, "Tell me your dream." The cupbearer said, "In my dream, I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it blossomed, it ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. I took to the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put it in his hand." Joseph said, "This is what it means. 3 branches are 3 days, and in 3 days, Pharaoh is going to make you his cupbearer again. But when he's done, remember me. Don't forget about your old friend Joseph. Mention me too, Pharaoh, and get me out of this place."
Oh, goody. Now I remember my dream.
Save it for later.
Oh.
Good idea. Then the chief baker said to Joseph, "I had a dream too. On my head were 3 baskets. In the top basket were all kinds of pastries for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket. Joseph said, "This is what it means. The 3 baskets are 3 days, and on the 3rd day, Pharaoh is going to take your head off and stick your body on a pole."
OMG!
Yeah. And sorry to have to tell you this, and the birds are going to eat you up, buddy.
Double OMG!
Now, on the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a party to all his higher-ups in his kingdom, and guess what?
What?
Everything happened just as Joseph had said. The chief baker lost his head, and the cupbearer was given his job back. He once again put the cup of Pharaoh in his hand, but the chief cupbearer didn't remember Joseph and forgot all about him.
But he promised.
It's not nice to break a promise.
And Joseph stayed in jail another 2 years.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah. You done?
We're done.
But then, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, and 7 fat, juicy cows came out of the river and started nibbling on the reeds. Then 7 skinny and ugly cows came up and ate the fat of juicy cows.
They were hungry.
I'd say. Then Pharaoh woke up, then fell asleep again, and had another dream. This time, he dreamed 7 good heads of grain were growing on a single stalk, and 7 thin heads of grain swallowed up the healthy grain.
What's a grain, Mr. Storyteller?
It's kind of like corn. Yeah, or cereal.
I love corn.
I know, we all do. So Pharaoh woke up the next morning really troubled. He went to the magicians and the wise men and told them his dream, but no one could interpret it.
I know someone who can tell him what his dreams mean.
Who?
Me. I'll ask God and he'll tell me everything.
Yeah, he can. But remember the cupbearer? He finally remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh about his time in jail and how Joseph had interpreted his dream and how everything Joseph said came true. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. Pharaoh said, "I hear you can interpret dreams." Joseph said, "I cannot do it."
But God can.
Right. So Pharaoh told Joseph both his dreams. Joseph listened. He said, "Pharaoh, God has shown you what he's about to do. You're going to have 7 years of abundance and good times in Egypt. Then 7 years of famine, no food, and hard times. So my advice to you, find you a wise man to put in charge of the Egypt and store up food during the 7 good years. So when the hard times come, you'll have food in Egypt."
It won't be hungry and starve to death.
Took the words right out of my mouth. So Pharaoh told Joseph, "You seem like a pretty smart and wise fella. Since God told you all of this, I hereby put you in charge of all of Egypt, and all my people are going to do whatever you tell them." Pharaoh then took off his ring, put it on Joseph's finger, put a fine new set of clothes on him, and then he put a gold chain around his neck.
Like 2 Chain?
There were probably some similarities. But then Pharaoh brought him a top-of-the-line, brand new, spanking new, off the showroom floor, set of wheels, the best chariot money could buy, so Joseph could travel all over Egypt. And when the people saw him coming, they shouted, "Make way! Make way! Here comes Joe, God's man with a plan."
Here comes Joe, God's man with a plan. Here comes Joe, God's man with a plan.
So it came to pass. During the 7 years of abundance, Joseph collected grain and stored it in the cities of Egypt. But sadly, the 7 years of abundance ended, and the famine began all over the world.
I feel sad.
Me too. So all the world came to Egypt to buy food from Joseph. So when Joseph's father heard there was food in Egypt, he told his sons, "Go to Egypt and buy some food for us."
The brothers who threw him in the pit?
Yeah. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, and Zebulun, and all of them. Whew, those brothers. But Jacob didn't send Benjamin, Joseph's little brother. He was afraid of something happening to him, like what happened to Joseph.
Yeah, right.
So the brothers headed on down to Egypt. And since Joseph was the man in charge of the food, when they saw him, they bowed down to him.
Just like his dream.
Somebody's been paying attention.
And I was taking notes too.
Get out of here. So they bowed down with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali. You know, all the brothers. But he acted like he didn't know them. He asked them, "Where did you come from?" "From Canaan to buy food." They didn't even know it was Joseph.
Because he had new clothes and chain around his neck?
Because he was a lot older. He was 30 years old when Pharaoh had made him the man of all of Egypt.
That's old.
Yeah. Then Joseph remembered his dream about them and said, "You are spies." They said, "No, your servants have come to buy food. We are all 12 brothers, the sons of one man, who lives in Canaan. And our youngest brother is at home with our father, and our other brother is dead." Joseph pretended like he didn't believe them. "No, I believe you are spies. I'm going to test you to see if you are telling me the truth. You will not leave this place until your youngest brother comes here." So he put them in jail for 3 days.
Oh no, not the dungeon again.
The dungeon. But on the 3rd day, he went down to visit them and made a deal. "If you are honest men, as you say, bring your youngest brother back here to me, then I will know if you have told me the truth. One of your brothers will have to stay here in jail. The rest of you can take some food back to your starving families. Remember, bring your youngest brother back here to me, and you'll all get to live."
I'm shaking in my boots.
My stomach is turning.
Will Jacob take Benjamin to Egypt?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll find out next week. Same story time, same story place.
Come on, New Covenant. Yeah.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time, story time.
Sit back, relax, get your favorite snack. To heal, stir it told while the room is packed. A double-edged sword from the word of God. Straight from the Bible right to your heart. Tastes like milk, sometimes like honey. Come get fed without no money. Change your life, you'll be alright. Like stars shining bright in the darkest night.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time, story time. It's story time. It's story time. It's STORY time, story time.
On the previous episode of The Story of Joseph, Joseph is able to interpret Pharaoh's dream, giving him favor with him. As predicted in the dream, there are 7 years of abundance and 7 years of famine. Joseph's brothers journey to Egypt to buy food, not realizing that the man in charge of the grain is their own brother Joseph. He conceals his identity, and accuses them of being spies and tells them to return with their younger brother Benjamin, or he will not sell them grain.
Nice song, guys.
It's for Joseph's brothers.
Hope they can convince Jacob to let Benjamin go back with them to Egypt.
Joseph warned them, "Bring your brothers to me so I'll know if you've been telling me the truth or if you're spies."
that you may not die.
So if they don't bring Benjamin back to Egypt, it'll be over for the brothers. Ugh. Curtains.
Oh no, I am not ready for the story to end.
We want a happy ending, Mr. Storyteller.
Okay. Well, let's see.
What happens next?
The brothers started feeling guilty about what they did to Joseph. They said, "We're being punished because of what we did to Joseph when he was a kid. Remember how upset he was when we threw him in the pit? He pled for his life, and we ignored him. That's why this is happening to us." Then Reuben said, "And you wouldn't listen to me when I begged you not to do it. And now we've got some explaining to do." Joseph heard them talking. Even though they didn't recognize him, he heard every word. He turned away and cried. Sorry, guys, no tissue this time.
He still loved his brothers,
Even after all the bad things that happened to him.
Yeah, but then he dried his eyes and came back and had Simeon tied up right in front of them and taken to jail.
What?
Yeah, he had a plan. He ordered the Egyptians to fill their bags with food and to give them back the money they brought to buy grain. And on top of that, he gave them supplies for their journey home. So they went on their way and later discovered that the money they had to buy food had been returned to them. They looked at each other, trembling and afraid. What has God done to us?
God gave them their money back?
No, the Egyptians gave them their money back.
No, Joseph. He made the Egyptians give them their money back.
Why, Mr. Storyteller?
Perhaps it was another test to see if they were really, really honest men. So when they got back to their father, Jacob in Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They said, "The man in charge of that land was not very friendly to us. He treated us like we were spies. But we said, 'We are honest men. We are not spies. We are—'"
12 brothers.
The sons of one father.
One brother is dead.
And our youngest brother is with our father in Canaan.
Then the man said, "This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me. Take food to your starving families. But bring your youngest brother here, so I will know that you are not spies. Then I will give your brother back, and you can go buy more food for your starving families." Then their father saw the money, and everybody was scared. Jacob said to them, "Have you all gone loopy? Have you stripped me of all my children? Joseph is dead. Simeon is in Egypt, and now you want to take Benjamin from me?" He breaks down. Everything is against me.
No food?
No Joseph.
No, Simeon?
Reuben tries to reason with his father. Look, Dad, you can put both of my sons to death if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. Put him in my care and I will bring him back. But Jacob said, no way. My son's not going to Egypt with you. His brother is dead and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey, you will bring my gray head down to the grave of sorrow.
He's going to be very sad.
Poor Simeon. He's going to be very sad too.
He's still locked away in jail.
A dark, dirty dungeon in Egypt.
And that's where he's going to stay. Joseph warned them. Simeon is staying right here in Egypt. He's not going anywhere until you bring back your brother, Benjamin.
What did Benjamin say?
Nothing. No one asked him. So that was that. Until the famine got worse and they had eaten up all the food they had brought back from Egypt.
They were hungry again.
Pretty much. So Jacob said, go back and buy us some more food. Judah looked at him a bit puzzled. Dad, don't you remember what the man in charge of the food said? He warned us. You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. So if you send Benjamin with us, we'll go down and buy some more food. But if you don't let him go back with us, we're going to starve. All of us. Because we can't go back to Egypt without Benjamin. Because the man said,
Bring Benjamin or starve.
Jacob asked, why did you even tell the man you had another brother?
Because he asked them about their family.
And he wanted to know what they had been up to.
All these years while you had been in Egypt.
That was Joseph's way of asking how his father was doing. And he wanted to know if Benjamin was okay too. Hey, Dad, we were just answering the man's questions. How did we know he was going to tell us to bring Benjamin to Egypt?
Yeah, and he said he was going to give Benjamin back.
So Judah had a bright idea. Send Benjamin with me. We all head back to Egypt. And then you and our families will get to live another day and not starve to death. How about it? I promise he will be safe with me. And if by chance I don't bring him back to you, I will bear the blame before you the rest of my life.
Please, Jacob, say yes.
Let Judah take Benjamin to Egypt.
So you can live and see another day.
And you won't have to starve to death.
Yeah, because starving to death doesn't seem like any fun. So Jacob gave in.
Yay!
Take the man some goodies as a gift. Take him some honey, myrrh, some spices, and throw in a few pistachio nuts and almonds, and double that amount of money you have for the food, because you got to return the money that was put in your sacks. Maybe it was a mistake. Go on. Take Benjamin, and I pray God will give you mercy before the man, that he will let Simeon and Benjamin come back with you.
So they headed back to Egypt. I'm so happy.
And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he told his steward to kill a fatted calf and invite the men over to his place for dinner. I'm throwing a party. So when the brothers were taken to Joseph's home, they were scared stiff.
Shaking in their boots?
No, they're sandals.
They thought he brought us here because of the money that was in our sacks. He wants to attack us, make us slaves, and take our donkeys. So they went up to the steward and explained about the money and that they had brought back every penny. The steward said, everything's cool. Your God has given you treasures in your sack. I got the money, and here's your brother Simeon.
Simeon, he survived the dungeon.
Oh, I'm so happy!
I'm merry and delighted, perpetuous and jubilant.
I'm ecstatic and on cloud 9.
No, you're not. You're right next to me.
That means I'm pumped.
Then the steward took the brothers into Joseph's home. When Joseph came in, they gave him their gifts and bowed down to him. A second time, he asked them about their father and if he was still alive.
I would say so. He's still alive and kicking.
Then he looked over and saw Benjamin, his mother's son. Is this your youngest brother? Joseph was so happy to see Benjamin. He had to step out of the room to cry.
So touching.
After he got control of all of that crying, he told his servants to bring on the food. Let's eat. Bon appetit. So they all feasted and had a good old time. So the next day, as the brothers were preparing to leave, Joseph told his stewards to fill the man's sack with as much food as they could carry. Then he told the steward, and put my silver cup in the youngest one's sack.
What? Another test?
Maybe it's a secret gift.
Let's find out. So the brothers went on their way. Joseph gave them a stupendous send-off. He gave them food and let them keep all their money. As they were making their way back to Canaan, Joseph told his steward, go after them, and when you catch them, ask them, why did you steal my master's silver cup? His favorite silver cup, the one he likes to drink from? This is a wicked thing you've done, bruh.
Oh no! A trick!
Let's find out. What are you talking about, man? If we brought back the money, that was in our sacks. Why on earth would we steal your master's silver cup? Hey, tell you what, check our bags. If you find the silver cup among any of us, the dude is going to die, and the rest of us will become your master's slave.
Uh-oh. Something stinks in Denmark.
Very well, said the steward. Let it be as you say. So all the brothers opened their sacks, and the stewards began his march, from the oldest brother to the youngest brother. Benjamin! The cup was found in his sack.
OMG!
Double OMG.
Oh my! This doesn't look good!
Why? Why? So they tore their clothes in anguish. How will we ever explain this to our father? So when Judah and his brothers made it back to Joseph's home, they all fell in, threw themselves to the ground, and bowed down before him.
Again?
Again. Joseph looked at them. What is this you have done? You know a man like me can find things out? Judah said, what can we say?
What can we say?
What can we say? What can we say?
To prove our innocence, we are now your slaves. Joseph said, only one man who was found with the silver cup will become my slave.
Benjamin? No!
Benjamin. So Judah said to Joseph, please don't lose your cool. I know that you are equal to Pharaoh himself, but can we talk? Remember when you asked us about our father, and we told you he was an old man and had a son born to him in his old age? His brother Joseph is dead, and Benjamin is the only one of his mother's sons left, and his father loves him. Then you asked us to bring this son down to see you. And we told you, he cannot leave his father. If he leaves, his father will die. But you warned us, unless your youngest brother comes back with you, you will never see my face again. We told this to our father. Then he remembered his other son, the one who went away, Joseph. He said, he has surely been torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. So if we go back without our younger brother, my father will die.
Please, please be merciful, Joseph.
They can't go out. They can't go back without Benjamin.
It will be the end of Jacob.
Oh, me, oh, my.
Because Judith promised he would bring Benjamin back. He bargains with Joseph. Let me remain here and be your slave in place of Benjamin. After hearing this, Joseph knows that the character has changed and he can no longer control himself. I am Joseph. I am Joseph. His brothers, their hearts pounding, frozen stiff, terrified at how he looked. Is this Joseph? Could it be? Could it? Joseph said, "Come closer. I am your brother, Joseph, the one you sold to the Egyptians. Don't be upset or feel guilty for selling me. I forgive you. Don't you understand? It was to save lives that God sent me here. He sent me ahead of you and made me Lord and ruler of all Egypt, to preserve God's people on the earth and to save lives. It was God's plan. Now go, hurry and tell my father everything you have seen and bring him here. And bring your families." They all threw their arms around Joseph. Everybody was weeping and crying and hugging and embracing. It was a nice sight to see.
So they went back to Canaan?
Yeah,
They told Jacob about Joseph.
yeah,
That he was alive?
yeah,
They brought Jacob and their family back to Egypt?
yeah. And Joseph gave them the best land in all Egypt.
Oh, I love happy endings. Don't you, Mr. Storyteller?
Yes, I do. And what's really important are the lessons we've learned from the story of Joseph.
Always forgive. Joseph could have been mean to his brothers, but he gave them back their money and gave them food for free.
Don't be jealous, especially for your brothers and sisters. It could make you do bad things, like when Joseph's brother threw him in the pit.
Be a good person and always work hard. Like Joseph, he was a good person and a hard worker. That's why everyone liked him in Egypt.
Even when things are hard, remember God will always be with you, like he was with Joseph in the pit and the dungeon.
And no matter what's happening in your life, God always has a plan.
It's story time. It's story time. It's STRY time story time. It's story time.